Darkness stretched across the void of space, broken only by the cold gleam of distant stars. The Aegis Sovereign, a colossal battleship larger than most planets, drifted silently through the inky black, its hull bristling with weapons and defensive rays that could obliterate entire fleets in minutes. Alongside it, a fleet of smaller vessels followed cruisers, frigates, and assault carriers forming an impenetrable formation. Their mission was clear: scout the outer rim for threats, ensure humanity's dominion in this sector, and protect the colonies from the unknown horrors that lurked beyond known space. On board the Aegis Sovereign, Captain Elias Kale stood on the observation deck, staring at the swirling nebulae ahead. His face was a map of hardened lines and faint scars, each telling a story of battles survived and comrades lost. In his hands, he held a holopad displaying real-time tactical feeds. Something was stirring on the edge of the system, a massive gravitational anomaly that didn't match any star charts. "Captain," a voice interrupted, sharp with urgency. Lieutenant Mira Solaris stepped beside him, her blue uniform pristine despite the tension in the bridge. "Sensors are detecting movement within the anomaly. I'm picking up something massive." Kell's eyes narrowed. "How massive?" "Larger than a Class 5 cruiser, possibly planetary in scale," she replied, her voice steady but tight. "It's moving." A silence fell over the bridge. The crew's collective breath caught as the anomaly shifted, revealing a gargantuan form emerging from the shadows. The outline of a creature so vast it seemed to consume the surrounding stars became visible. A space-borne leviathan, its armor-like hide shimmering with bioluminescent patterns, eyes glowing like miniature suns. Kell's hand hovered over the command console. "Alert all fleets. Prepare for engagement. Target their weak points. We can't risk them reaching the colonies." Within minutes, the fleet formed a defensive perimeter. The cruisers and frigates lit their engines, creating a lattice of energy shields around the Aegis Sovereign. Missiles streaked through space, and laser turrets unleashed torrents of fire. Yet, the creature absorbed the attacks with terrifying resilience, its immense form moving with an eerie, fluid grace. On a lower deck, in a reinforced medical bay, a small girl clung to a narrow bunk. Her eyes, wide with fear, reflected the flashing lights of battle. She was only 7, lost and alone after her colony outpost had been decimated by the same creature, now attacking the fleet. Dr. Liratan, the ship's chief medic, knelt beside her, whispering words of comfort. "It's okay, sweetling. You're safe now," Lyra said, brushing the girl's hair back from her dirt-streaked face. "Captain Kell's fleet will protect you." But Kale didn't know the child's presence yet. The tactical feeds were all-consuming, each screen, detailing the creature's movements and vulnerabilities. It wasn't just a beast, it was intelligent, coordinating attacks, testing the fleet's formations as if it understood strategy. The first collision shook the fleet. The Leviathan lashed out, massive appendages smashing cruisers like toys, sending debris into the void. Warning sirens blared. Crew members were thrown off their feet, and the bridge shuddered with the impact. "Status report," Kale barked, gripping the railing. 3 cruisers destroyed, shields holding on the Sovereign. "Energy reserves at 60%, Solara responded. Her eyes flicked to a tactical display. "It's heading for the colony cluster near Vega 7. We need to intercept, or..." Kale cut her off. "We will intercept. All battalions, full thrust. Engage battle protocols Alpha and Gamma. No civilian casualties." "Understood. Understood, Captain." The crew CHORUSED. The fleet surged forward, a tidal wave of humanity's technological might. Lasers and plasma bolts lit up the void, striking the Leviathan, which responded with sonic roars that shattered nearby debris fields. A missile carrier exploded in a brilliant flash, reminding all that no weapon could fully pierce the creature's armor. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the medical bay, the little girl had wandered from the bunk, drawn by the trembling of the hull and the rhythmic pulsing of alarms. She reached a small viewport and gasped, seeing the enormous silhouettes of the fleet and the Leviathan locked in deadly combat. Her hand pressed against the glass. A sudden explosion rocked the bay, knocking her off balance. Dr. Lyra grabbed her just in time. "Stay down," she shouted, pulling the child into a protective embrace. Back on the bridge, Kel's mind raced. He needed a plan on edge. The creature was too fast, too intelligent, too massive. Conventional weapons were failing. He turned to the ship's science officer, Commander Valen. "Options." Kale demanded. Valen's fingers danced across. "The console. There's an ancient protocol, the Titan Ray. It's experimental, designed to focus the fleet's collective firepower into a single, concentrated beam. If we can hit the creature at its neural core—" "Do it," Kale said immediately. "Even if it risks the fleet." Orders were transmitted and the fleet repositioned. Energy conduits hummed, shields pulsating in synchronization. The Aegis, Sovereign's main cannon, powered up, glowing like a miniature sun. The smaller ships aligned their own rays, contributing to the devastating beam that could, potentially. And this nightmare dot in the medical bay, the girl clutched a small stuffed creature in her arms, her gaze fixed on the viewport. She didn't understand fully what was happening, but a strange courage welled within her. Somehow, she knew this fleet, these humans, were her last hope. The Titan Ray fired. Light exploded into the void, a piercing column that struck the Leviathan. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. The creature screeched, a sound that resonated through the fleet, shaking the hulls of every ship. Energy rippled across its massive body, weakening its defenses. Kale didn't wait. All weapons. Focus fire. Hit it now. The fleet unleashed everything. Missiles, lasers, plasma cannons, railguns, all striking the creature simultaneously. Slowly, inexorably, it began to falter. The Leviathan's appendages thrashed, debris exploding around it as it drifted, wounded, into the darkness of space. The battle was won, but the cost was immense. Parts of the fleet were gone, and the vacuum of space was littered with the remnants of fallen ships. Kale exhaled, exhausted. He turned to the communications officer. "Locate survivors and the child. Find her." Minutes later, Dr. Lyra and the girl were escorted to the bridge. Kale knelt before her, offering a gentle smile. "You're safe now. You'll have a home aboard the Aegis Sovereign." The girl nodded, tears streaking her face. Somewhere deep inside, a spark of hope had ignited. Humanity had survived today, and with the Titan fleet ready, the stars were theirs to protect. But Kale knew this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, and beyond every star, new threats awaited. The war had just begun. The void of space was no longer silent. Echoes of the recent battles still rippled through the fleet's communication channels, mingled with the occasional static of damaged systems. Though the Aegis Sovereign had survived the Leviathan's assault, the scars of the encounter were visible in the crippled hulls drifting in the distance, and the fleet's morale remained tense. Captain Elias Kale stood once again on the observation deck, staring into the black abyss where the remnants of the battle slowly drifted like cosmic wreckage. Beside him, Lieutenant Mira Solara monitored the fleet's sensors, her brow furrowed. "We've scanned the debris. No signs of other life forms, but the anomaly is still active," she reported, voice tight with unease. "It's almost as if the creature was a scout. A warning of something larger." Kel's jaw tightened. "Larger? Yes, sir. The readings indicate something massive approaching the outer rim. We're talking planetary-scale energy signatures, fluctuating and moving at speeds our current fleet can barely intercept." The captain's eyes narrowed. "Get me all fleet commanders on a secure channel. We need to prepare for the worst." Meanwhile, deep within the Aegis Sovereign, the little girl had begun to explore her new home under Dr. Lyra Tan's supervision. The medical bay had become a temporary classroom, filled with holographic simulations of the galaxy. Lyra explained the fleet's purpose, the role of the Aegis Sovereign, and why the little girl needed to stay safe at all costs. "You see, sweetling," Lyra said gently, "these ships protect people like your home colony. They're strong, but sometimes things out there are stronger." The girl clutched her stuffed creature tightly. "Will they protect me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "They will," Lyra assured her. "Captain Kale will. Make sure of it." Back on the bridge, Kale convened the fleet commanders via holographic display. Cruisers and frigates materialized in the air like floating statues, their commanders standing rigid in uniform. The anomaly has emitted a new energy spike. Kale began, voice resonant. We're dealing with something beyond any creature we've encountered. It's intelligent, strategic, and possibly planetary in size. Our previous engagement was just the beginning. We must prepare for full-scale defense. Any questions? A commander from the light cruiser Valiant Echo spoke up. Captain, if it's planetary scale, conventional weapons won't suffice. Do we have any countermeasures? Kel's expression was grim. We'll need to adapt. Commander Valen, prep the Titan array for continuous firing cycles. All ships load experimental plasma lances. If we can't destroy it outright, we can at least slow it down and prevent it from reaching inhabited systems. The orders were clear, but even the most seasoned officers felt the weight of the unknown pressing in. Outside the fleet, the shadows of the anomaly began to shift, revealing glimpses of immense forms, silhouettes that dwarfed even the largest ships. The first glimpse of the enemy fleet sent a shiver through the command crew. Gigantic, insectoid creatures, their armored exoskeletons reflecting distant starlight, energy pulsating along their limbs like veins of molten metal. Fleet, form defensive formations Omega and Sigma. Kale commanded. We cannot allow any breach. The battle commenced as the alien fleet advanced. The Aegis Sovereign fired its heavy cannons and smaller ships launched volleys of missiles. Yet, the creatures moved with alarming coordination, dodging attacks, countering with energy beams and sonic pulses capable of ripping ships apart. On board the medical deck, the girl watched the viewports with wide eyes. She could see the smaller cruisers darting through space, weaving past massive appendages and energy blasts. Despite her fear, she felt a strange connection to the fleet, an unspoken understanding that these ships and their crews were fighting for her and for all innocent lives in the sector. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the Sovereign. Captain, incoming cluster. The creatures are attempting to flank our left wing, Solara reported. Kel's fingers flew across the command console. Deploy interceptors and activate plasma lances. Keep the fleet intact at all costs. The left wing of the fleet erupted into a deadly ballet of destruction and survival. Plasma lances tore through the darkness, striking exoskeletons with explosive force, while interceptors weaved between colossal limbs, launching torpedoes into vulnerable joints. The alien ships responded with energy pulses that tore through shields, detonating cruisers and forcing the remaining ships to maneuver with lethal precision. Amid the chaos, Kale noticed a smaller creature, a scout-breaking formation, heading straight for the colony cluster near Vega 7. Without hesitation, he gave the order, I'll intercept. Solara, you cover the fleet. All hands, brace for rapid engagement. The Aegis Sovereign accelerated, engines roaring with unimaginable power. The smaller creature moved with unnatural speed, its armor glinting like black diamonds. Kale maneuvered, expertly, evading energy beams and debris from destroyed ships. The scout opened a gaping maw, releasing a blast that vaporized a nearby asteroid. Kale fired the ship's plasma lances, each shot striking with pinpoint accuracy. The creature shrieked, momentarily stunned, and Kale pressed the advantage, ramming the vessel with reinforced hull plating. Back in the fleet, the other commanders maintained defensive formations, trying to prevent the alien behemoths from breaking through. Explosions lit the void, casting eerie glows on nearby nebulae. The Titan array hummed continuously, discharging pulses of energy that forced the enemy to retreat in certain sectors, buying precious time for the fleet and the colonies. Finally, the scout was destroyed, drifting as lifeless debris among the stars. Kale exhaled heavily, relief mingled with apprehension. He knew this was only the beginning. The main alien fleet loomed larger in the distance, and a shadow of the planetary scale threat remained. Returning to the Aegis Sovereign, he found the little girl waiting near the viewport, clutching her stuffed creature. She looked up at him, eyes wide and unafraid. You saved them, she said simply. Kale knelt, offering a gentle smile. We all did, and we'll keep saving them together. As the fleet regrouped, Captain Kale couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Somewhere in the depths of the void, the intelligence guiding these alien behemoths observed, waiting, learning. The next engagement would be larger, deadlier, and the survival of humanity's outer colonies hung in the balance. For now, the Titan fleet had survived, but the universe whispered of horrors yet to come, and a small girl, innocent yet resilient, would remain at the heart of a war that stretched across the stars. The silence of space was deceptive. While the Titan fleet regrouped after the skirmish with the Scout, the stars themselves seemed to shudder under the presence of the alien behemoths. Captain Elias Kale paced the observation deck, eyes scanning the distant energy spikes on the sensors. Lieutenant Mira Solara's voice cut through the tension. "Sir, new readings. The creatures aren't acting randomly. They're calculating, coordinating attacks across multiple sectors. This isn't just a battle, it's a siege." Kel's jaw tightened. "How many of them, the energy signatures are massive, sir. One of them alone, it could encompass an entire moon in size. There are at least 3 others approaching. We've never faced anything like this." As the fleet prepared, the little girl lingered near Dr. Lyra. Tan in the med bay, she had begun noticing strange occurrences, glimpses of energy flickering around her, faint ripples in the air whenever she felt fear or excitement. Lyra watched silently. Noting the girl's growing awareness, "Lyra, it's happening again," the girl whispered, tiny hands trembling. A faint blue glow emanated from her fingertips. Lyra knelt, voice gentle. "I see it. You're special. That's why they're after you. We must protect you at all costs." Back on the bridge, Kale activated the fleet's long-range scanners. The colossal enemy ships came into view. Planet-sized constructs with jagged armor plating and bio-organic energy cores. They moved with purpose, each appendage coordinating with the others as though controlled by a single mind. The first wave of assault would arrive in minutes. Fleet, brace for impact. Deploy all interceptors and launch the Titan array. Kale commanded. The fleet's engines flared as ships assumed defensive formations. Cannons hummed. Missiles armed and plasma lances glimmered with deadly potential. The battle erupted with brutal ferocity. Alien behemoths released waves of energy that fractured shields and sent debris tumbling across space. Smaller ships darted between massive limbs, dodging sonic blasts and retaliatory strikes. The Aegis Sovereign led the charge, firing continuously, coordinating attacks with precision. Amid the chaos, Kale noticed the little girl standing near the viewport, hands raised instinctively as a sudden pulse of energy radiated outward. To his astonishment, one of the approaching behemoths veered off course, seemingly repelled by a force emanating from her direction. "Impossible," Kale muttered. "She's influencing them." Dr. Lyra Tan appeared at his side. "I warned you, Captain. She has a connection we don't yet understand. That energy, it's not just defensive. She could be a key to stopping them." As the fleet fought desperately, Kale realized the situation was more dire than anticipated. The alien forces adapted rapidly, avoiding traps and responding to tactical maneuvers with almost uncanny precision. Ships were torn apart, entire formations shredded, and still the behemoths advanced. Relentless and unyielding. "Sir, we're losing cruisers faster than we can replace them," Solara reported, voice strained. "They're anticipating our every move." Kale clenched his fists. "Then we give them something unexpected." He turned to the bridge crew. "Prepare the experimental graviton pulses. Target the largest behemoth cluster. And bring the girl to the command deck. If she can influence them, we need to understand how." The girl stepped forward, fear mingling with determination. Her energy glowed brighter, pulsing in rhythm with the nearest enemy constructs. Kale observed, realizing that her connection might be the only way to survive this battle. The graviton pulses fired. Space itself seemed to twist as immense waves of energy collided with the alien behemoths. One of the planetary-sized constructs staggered, tentacles thrashing wildly. The girl's energy intertwined with the pulses, amplifying their effect. A tremendous explosion illuminated the surrounding sectors, sending shards of the enemy ships careening into the void. "Keep her safe," Kale shouted. "All ships, cover her," the fleet responded, focusing fire to protect the command deck. Interceptors swarmed enemy appendages, while plasma lancers found weak points in the alien armor. The battle raged across multiple vectors, a deadly dance of destruction and survival as the dust settled. The largest behemoth writhed but remained functional. Yet for the first time it hesitated. Its coordination faltered. The girl's power had disrupted its connection to the hive mind, giving the fleet a critical opening. Kale exhaled, voice low but determined. "This is our chance. We finish this. Fight, or we die trying." He gave orders to concentrate fire on the staggered behemoth, leading a coordinated strike from every ship in the fleet. Missiles, plasma lances, and graviton pulses converged, creating a blinding nexus of energy. The behemoth screamed in resonance, its massive body tearing apart under the combined assault. For a moment, silence reclaimed the void. The alien forces recoiled, seemingly retreating, leaving behind a field of wreckage and scattered energy remnants. The fleet had survived, but at great cost. Many ships were damaged or destroyed, and the true hive mind, the source of the planetary behemoths, remained. Out there watching, the little girl sat quietly, exhausted but calm. Her connection to the battle had been instinctive, her mysterious energy a decisive factor in the fleet's survival. Dr. Liratan knelt beside her, placing a protective hand on her shoulder. "Rest now. You've done more than anyone could." "Imagine," Lyra said softly. Kale stood at the observation deck, staring at the distant stars. He knew the fight was far from over. The alien intelligence was still out there, observing, learning, and adapting. And the little girl, innocent and fragile, was somehow the linchpin in this interstellar struggle. The fleet drifted through the aftermath, repairing and regrouping, while the galaxy itself seemed to whisper warnings of the horrors yet to come. In the cold expanse of space, survival depended on courage, strategy, and an unexpected spark of power that could turn the tide of war. And the little girl, once a symbol of vulnerability, had become the beacon of hope in a universe on the brink of annihilation. The fleet limped through the aftermath of the previous battle, engines sputtering and shields flickering. But there was no time to rest. The void of space, which had seemed temporarily silent, now pulsed with a growing sense of menace. Captain Elias Kale paced the bridge of the Aegis Sovereign, eyes fixed on the sensor readouts. Lieutenant Mira Solara frowned at the holographic display. "Sir, new formations approaching. They're not just retreating, they're regrouping. And judging by the readings, they've adapted to our graviton pulse attacks." Kale's jaw tightened. "How long before they engage again?" "Less than 30 minutes. This time, they're coordinated on a scale we haven't faced yet," Solara warned. In the medbay, Dr. Liratan monitored the little girl's condition. The girl had collapsed in exhaustion after the last battle, but her energy aura remained visible, flickering faintly like a heartbeat. "Lyra," the girl murmured, "they're calling to me." Lyra's eyes widened. "Calling? What do you mean? They're hive mind? I can hear them, feel them," the girl whispered, tiny hands trembling as blue light flickered around her fingers. Lyra exchanged a glance with Kale, who had just arrived in the medbay. "This changes everything," she said. "She's not just influencing them, she's connected to them. Somehow, she can sense their movements, their intentions. If we harness this, we might actually stand a chance." Kale nodded grimly. "Then we learn to use it, and we prepare for the next wave. Solara, deploy reconnaissance drones in a wide perimeter. I want to know exactly what we're up against before they reach firing range." As the drones spread across the void, transmitting streams of data, the fleet began to move in tighter formation. Every ship bristled with weapons, shields pulsing, engines humming in perfect synchrony. The alien behemoths were approaching with terrifying speed, and this time, their numbers were greater. The largest of them, a planet-sized monstrosity with jagged, bioluminescent armor, led the charge. Its appendages stretched like colossal arms, Each movement precise, calculated, and deadly. Cale observed, feeling a surge of determination. All ships brace for impact. Interceptors form protective screens around the Sovereign. Focus fire on the largest construct. Solara, give me targeting estimates. Sir, estimates suggest it will take simultaneous volleys from the entire fleet to breach the outer hull. Any miscalculation and we lose several cruisers in seconds. Before Cale could respond, the little girl stood, still weak but determined. Her eyes glowed faintly as she extended her hands toward the viewport. Energy pulsed outward, rippling across space. The approaching behemoths faltered slightly, as if sensing the presence that opposed them. Captain, Lyra said softly, she's ready. She knows what to do. Cale took a deep breath, then we follow her lead. The battle began in earnest. Massive energy blasts streaked across space, colliding with the alien constructs in eruptions of light and fire. Interceptors darted between appendages, dodging strikes that could shatter ships in moments. The little girl's energy field expanded, a glowing barrier that disrupted the enemy's movements. One of the smaller behemoths lunged toward the fleet's left flank, but its trajectory changed mid-flight, pulled away by an invisible force. Kel's eyes widened. She's controlling them partially. Incredible. But the victory was fleeting. From the shadows of a nearby asteroid field, a new wave emerged, faster, smarter, and more brutal. These were not the same mindless behemoths. Encountered earlier, their movements were coordinated, almost tactical. Plasma tendrils whipped across space, slicing through the fleet's formation. Sir, they've adapted to her influence. Solara shouted, they're ignoring her energy field. Kel's mind raced. Then we escalate. Launch experimental graviton bombs on my mark. Protect the girl at all costs. Lyra, stay close to her. She's our key to survival. As the bombs launched, the little girl's aura intensified, her energy weaving with the destructive pulses. One of the planet-sized behemoths staggered under the combined assault, but instead of retreating, it unleashed a shockwave that pushed the fleet back. Ships were thrown into chaotic orbits and debris tore through shields. Cale gritted his teeth. All units regroup. Focus on survival. We're not giving up. Amid the chaos, the girl's power flared violently. Energy arcs extended from her hands, striking the nearest alien constructs. The larger behemoth convulsed, its connection to the hive mind disrupted, and for the first time the enemy's coordination faltered. Now, Cale bellowed, concentrate all fire on the central node. Take it down. Every ship responded. A synchronized strike that sent missiles, plasma lances, and graviton pulses converging on the alien core. The impact was catastrophic. The largest construct erupted in a cascade of energy, fragments scattering across space like meteor showers. The smaller behemoths hesitated, disoriented and vulnerable. Cale exhaled, voice hoarse. Status report. Solara's voice trembled with exhaustion. Damage is heavy. But the hive's central command is fractured. They're retreating. For now, in the medbay, the girl slumped, exhausted. Lyra held her gently, whispering reassurance. You did it. You're safe. Cale stood on the bridge, looking out at the retreating silhouettes of the alien behemoths. He knew the battle was far from over. The hive mind had been wounded, but not destroyed. Somewhere out there, the Central Intelligence was observing, adapting, and preparing its next strike. Yet amidst the fear and destruction, there was hope. The little girl, innocent and fragile, had become the fleet's most potent weapon. Her power had turned the tide, revealing that even in the vast emptiness of space, one spark could illuminate the path to survival. And as the fleet drifted through the wreckage, preparing and regrouping, Cale knew that the next confrontation would demand every ounce of courage, every strategic maneuver, and the mysterious, untapped strength of the child who held the galaxy's fate in her tiny hands. The fleet had been battered, torn, yet unbroken. Repairs were ongoing, shields flickering, engines sparking from overuse, but the crew of the Aegis Sovereign and its sister ships were ready. Every eye on the bridge burned with determination, knowing that this would be the decisive battle, the final confrontation with the hive. Captain Elias Cale stood at the viewport, staring into the black expanse of space. "They're coming," he murmured. The sensors confirmed his fears. A colossal formation emerged from hyperspace, larger than anything the fleet had ever encountered. Planet-sized constructs moved like predators, each one radiating raw, destructive energy. Lieutenant Mira Solara's hands danced over the console. "They've centralized their command again. Sir, this time they're heading straight for the fleet's core. If they break through, we lose everything." Kel's jaw tightened. "Then we stop them. All units, full defensive posture. Protect the Sovereign and the girl at all costs. Every ship. Fire at will. No hesitations." In the medbay, the little girl stood at the center of a protective energy field, her aura pulsing like a heartbeat across the room. Dr. Lyra Tan guided her hands, whispering encouragements. "You can do this. You have to. The fleet is counting. On you?" The girl nodded, though fatigue clung to her small frame. Her blue glow intensified, radiating outward like a living star. I can hear them. Every thought, every movement. I know what they're going to do," she whispered. Cale entered the medbay, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Then lead, US little one. Show them what we're made of." Back on the bridge, alarm screamed. The hive's behemoths were within firing range. Energy beams lanced through space, colliding with the fleet's shields in devastating arcs. The impact rattled every ship, throwing crew members off balance. "Sir, they're bypassing our shields, firing directly at the engines," shouted Solara. Kel's mind raced. "Target their central nodes. Interceptors draw their fire. We can't let them reach the Sovereign. Not today." The little girl's aura flared violently, a tidal wave of energy spilling outward, disrupting the alien formation. One of the massive constructs faltered, its trajectory altered as if it hesitated. Sensing her presence, "They're listening." Reacting to her, Lyra exclaimed. Cale barked orders. All ships synchronize fire with her pulses. Every volley must strike in tandem with her energy waves. Make it count. The battle escalated into chaos. Explosions erupted across the void. As ships collided with debris, alien tendrils slicing through armor. Plasma lances tore across the battlefield, leaving trails of fire and destruction. Yet amidst the carnage, the little girl's energy wove through it all, like a conductor guiding a symphony of destruction and precision. One of the largest constructs, a massive creature the size of a small moon, lunged at the fleet's center. Its appendages smashed several cruisers, sending them spiraling into the abyss. The Sovereign shook violently, alarms screaming in unison. Kel's voice cut through the chaos. "Hold your positions. Focus fire on the central node of that beast. We break it, or we die trying." The girl raised her hands, energy crackling like lightning across her small frame. She drew on something deeper, a connection to the hive that no one else could comprehend. The massive construct hesitated mid-attack, its movement disrupted as her energy enveloped it. "Now," Cale roared. "All units converge fire." Every ship unleashed its full arsenal, missiles, plasma cannons, graviton pulses, and energy, lances. The little girl's power intertwined with the volleys, amplifying their destructive force. The central node of the behemoth glowed brighter, then shattered in an explosion that lit up the void. Shockwaves threw the remaining constructs into disarray. For a brief, breathtaking moment, silence fell across the battlefield. The fleet drifted among the wreckage, and the remaining alien constructs faltered, confused and leaderless. Cale exhaled, his face pale but resolute. "Status report." Solara's voice came over the comms, trembling but relieved. "Most of the hive's forces are retreating. Damage is catastrophic, but we've survived." In the medbay, the little girl collapsed, utterly spent. Lyra held her close, whispering reassurances, tears streaming down her face. "You did it. You saved them. You saved us all." Cale entered, kneeling beside the girl. "You were the spark that turned the tide. Without you, none of us would have survived." Outside, the fleet began to regroup, patching up damaged ships and tending to wounded crew. The void of space was littered with debris, but for the first time in months, there was hope, a fragile, shining hope. Kale stared at the stars, thinking of the battles yet to come. The hive may have been fractured, but it would rebuild, adapt, and return. Yet with the little girl's power, with the courage of the fleet and its crew, humanity had found a fighting chance. The girl stirred, weak but conscious. She looked up at Kale, her blue eyes shimmering with a newfound strength. "They won't forget me," she said softly. "No," Kale replied, smiling faintly. "But neither will we. We'll be ready next time, and we'll face them together." As the fleet set course for a distant repair station, the little girl's energy aura pulsed gently, a beacon of resilience and hope across the infinite darkness. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and merciless, but for the first time, humanity had a chance to fight back, united and unyielding. The war was not over, but the tide had turned, and in the heart of the fleet, a small, extraordinary girl had proven that even the tiniest spark could ignite a revolution among the stars.